All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Krasnowski, Executive Director at the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging, for those of you who are joining us for the first time today. So our office hours is kind of an opportunity for we staff at the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging and for folks from our program provider network, others who have an interest in what we're doing at WIHA, to kind of come together, talk about some of the things that we're doing, things that are upcoming, and then we'll have some time at the end in our breakout sessions for some conversations where we'll have some questions for you all. So again, appreciate you joining us today. This will be recorded, as you noted. Aaron hit the record button, so we'll send a link out to the recording at the end. It'll more likely be early next week when Karen's back from vacation. So again, thanks for joining us. So, you know, we like to do this at the beginning of the meeting. So let's do a little quick icebreaker. It's summer almost, and you have a free weekend. What would you most like to do? 1, go to a music festival, baby, and style points for naming the kind of music or venue that you would do that at. 2, camping. There's nothing like a weekend in the woods. That might be my choice. Style points for naming a favorite camping spot. 3, hit the big city. What happens in you name the city stays in you name the city. Style points for naming the spot. And 4, a mini staycation, just reading, gardening, napping. Yes, please. Style points for saying what you'll spend the weekend doing. So I'm watching the stats to see what people are telling us. Crystal's a staycation gal. So is Roxanne. So is Haley. Wait a minute, everyone wants to stay home. Patricia says 2, camping. She wants to hit the woods. Catherine, out of all the choices, number 4. So you're a staycation gal too. Number 2, so it's all about the nature. Another number 2 from Amy, Firefly campground. Is that what that says, Amy?
Yep. Yeah, Firefly. It's only about 15 minutes from my house.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't have to go very far, actually, then, do you? Let's see what else. Sorry, I got lost in the chat here. A bunch is 2s and 4s, so lots more camping. I haven't seen anybody who wants to go to a music festival yet. So understandable. Swimming with the kids 4. Yeah, does someone want to chime in? Nope. Okay. Courtney says 2, headed to Montello's Wilderness Campground next weekend. Good for you, Courtney. Tina says 2, number 2 at Castle Rock. Jill's going to a music festival for country music. That is my girl. Crystal's reading and gardening, so she's a stay-at-home gal. Jill's also staying home. She's both going to a music festival and staying home. Hitting the farmers market, camping in the backyard, naps. Mary, outdoor concerts this weekend at the Bellamy Brothers. Awesome. That sounds so great. A few more 4s here. Heidi Russell's got 10 acres surrounded by 500 acres of hunting land. Cool. So she and her dogs and her husband are going to be hanging out. Time in the garden for sure. Ashley's thinking about maybe heading to Chicago at some point. That's always a fun time to go in the summer. Again, Crystal's got a new pergola and outdoor seating. So again, why leave? I hear you. Amanda says 4, grilling in the backyard, playing with her dog. Farmer's market too. You'll meet up with Jill at the farmer's market. Jennifer Lefebvre is going to sit on her deck and read and take a nap. Who can complain about that? Laura Steiner is going to be in Hayward in August and camp at a cabin on the lakefront. That sounds fabulous. Simone also is a camping gal. Lisa Messer's music festival at the Trumpelo Hotel. Awesome. What kind of music, Lisa? Put that in the chat. And Simone said, oops, she meant 1. Okay, that's fine. Oh, that's great to hear kind of what everybody would do. Little insight into the kinds of stuff that you find fun, and kind of fun to think about as we head into summer. So thanks for sharing that, everybody. And with that, we're going to move along. We're going to talk first about the Falls Free Wisconsin initiative. I know maybe for some of you, if you've been in and around this, you'll have heard a little bit about this a time or two, but we're going to show you a few different things. So I'm going to turn this over to Suzanne Morley. Suzanne, I'm going to stop the share and you can take it away.
Awesome, thanks, Chris. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Like Chris has said, we've talked about the Fall Center on numerous calls, and hopefully this will load soon so you can see my slides. We just wanted to give another overview and then kind of go right to the website so you can see our progress so far. Not sure. Looks like maybe my internet's slow, so it's not working that great, but. no,
Dan, do you want
it's
to try
fine.
turning off your video and see if that helps?
Yeah, let me do that.
Okay.
We can see it
Okay.
too, so that's good.
So, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
No? Okay, perfect.
Good.
So, Falls Free Wisconsin, our initiative is really to take a public health approach to falls prevention in Wisconsin. So we know that we're not gonna change everything overnight, and in order to change falls and older adult falls and prevent some of those falls, we need to address the root causes. So on our Falls Free Wisconsin Center website, we're promoting programs and practices to reduce falls risks that communities and organizations can implement into a practice in their local areas. And we also want to instill a belief that falls are preventable. So we're hearing a lot in our conversations that we've been having and focus groups that a lot of older adults believe that as you age, falls are just going to happen. It's kind of a normal part of aging. So we really want to instill a belief that falls are preventable and that they can take action to help prevent falls as they age. I'm going to go ahead and actually go to our website. So we've been working really hard the last few months on getting all of the content on our website. We're actually just making some changes this morning. So just a disclaimer, the information that you're going to see isn't the final version, but I really just want to kind of lay out how we're going to have the information laid out for consumers and families and for professionals and caregivers on our website. So I'm going to take you through a little tour. I'll start with the home screen. You can see our nice logo on the left-hand corner. Now we have that finalized. The website is technically live, so you can go to it, but it is in draft mode. So there's a disclaimer on the front page. It's going through construction. There will be more changes as we have focus groups in the next couple of months and finalize all the content on it. But I just want to show you how the layout is. So on our home screen, we have a couple of different buttons go through the main areas of the website. So Prevent Falls is the consumer landing page, and I'll go to that in a little bit. We really want to highlight our interactive home walkthrough. I'm not going to be able to show that today. It's not quite done yet, but we'll have that done in the next couple of months. And that's the interactive home walkthrough for kind of like a Zillow home. If you're selling a house, you'll be able to walk through the house, identify falls hazards and risks, and then you'll have a nice handout at the end that lays everything out for that. We'll have interactive knowledge checks throughout the website as well, so you can take those knowledge checks, and then we really want to direct people to evidence-based programs too. And then you can see here we have some different quotes throughout the website, so we want to make it relatable for older adults too. So we've been collecting false stories around the last couple of months from real people in Wisconsin, and you can see what they've said throughout the website. We also have a bunch of videos throughout the site too, so lots of different media to hopefully be able to catch people that are interested in different things. And then we'll have some updates at the bottom for consumers. And this section hasn't quite done yet, but we'll have some interest articles for consumers, latest updates on falls prevention, different things like that. I'm going to go to the landing page for consumers, which we're calling Prevent Falls. And on here, we have a few different sections. So lots of different things can affect falls. And there's a lot of different things that you can do to prevent your falls risk. So we have sections for assistive devices, balance and strength, footwear, medications, sight, sound, and surround. So your surroundings and your home environment. I'm just going to go to a couple of these just so you can see how it's laid out for consumers. So we have different drop downs inside of the sections, and for assistive devices, we have grab bars, reachers, handrails, canes and walkers, walking sticks, medical alert devices, and smart speakers. So if you hit a drop down, we have links throughout these as well in different sections where it's applicable. You can link out to your Aging and Disability Resource Center to get the contact information for the ADRCs. There's pictures throughout here, so grab bar pictures, pictures of bed rails, different things like that, pictures of reachers. We've been doing some videos as well with professionals in the state. So we have a physical therapist from Wisconsin that provided a video on how to use a walker and a cane correctly. There's more information on medical alert devices, things like that. So that's an example of one of the consumer pages. I'm going to go to another one. You can kind of see how they're a little bit different. So this one has a little bit more text on it. There's another video from a Wisconsin physical therapist. And this section isn't quite done yet, but we will have some pictures here on some different balance and strength exercises. And there's actually some stepping on facilitators that are working on taking those pictures. So that'll be really cool to see some Wisconsin people on the website. And then we'll have different takeaways as well. So they'll have the information on the screen, but then you can see here, there's this little download button. So anything that's next to a little download button, you'll be able to click on and download that information. So this one isn't quite done yet, but this once it's in green, like these links down here, that'll be downloadable. Strength, really similar. And then again, you'll be able to download all of the pictures and the exercise examples. So we really want to have a lot of takeaways there. And then there's links throughout too. So if you click on the link, you'll be directed to WIHA Stepping On website or other links that are throughout the website. And then we have a Find a Workshop button for some of our programs too throughout the website. So that's the Prevent Falls consumer pages. The rest of the pages are pretty similar to that. They're interactive. They have pictures throughout, videos, quotes to reach the different populations that will be looking at these sites. And then again, we have knowledge checks. We're really directing people to the interactive home walkthrough throughout the website. And then we also have a section for caregivers. So we recognize that caregivers and family members can really impact their loved ones' health as well. So we have some different information and guides on here on how to talk about falls, how to talk to your loved ones about if you're concerned about your own falls risk. And then we also have a conversation guide for caregivers. So how caregivers can approach their loved ones about their falls risks. And then also information on talking to providers and things like that, since we know that having those conversations is really important. And I'm going to go through our for professionals sections. We have a lot of different information on here too for professionals. Again, if you click on the landing page, you'll be directed to that. You can also get all the information through this drop down. So I'm going to go to our best practices page. This is where you'll find evidence-based and best practices. So this is for professionals. This is for the aging units, ADRCs, public health departments, EMS providers, healthcare systems that want to implement any best practices into their communities. So we have a list of different evidence-based and best practice and initiatives for falls prevention in these little cards here. So you can see there's a whole bunch of different, you can filter these cards. There's different types of programs in here. So it's a program. Is it a physical activity, a program? Is it a falls program? What's the evidence level? So you can filter by all of that. There's also events in here. The initiative, so different things that you can do. And then in all of the cards that you'll click on, there's target market, program design, leader qualifications. So once you click on a card, You can be directed to different links about the program. You'll get more information about the target market, the leader qualifications, and then your URLs and links to information on how to become a facilitator. Some of them have find a workshop buttons. Not all of them have that available, but that's also another helpful link to direct consumers in your area too. So we have tons of different best practices and programs there. And again, you can filter depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for an initiative, if you're looking for a high level evidence-based program, whatever you're looking for there. And then we're going to have some local examples here too on different things that you can implement in your community. So example, for rugs. So having older adults bring in their rugs and then they get a mug for a local coffee shop. There's examples on different coalition events as well. So we'll have some local examples throughout the website too. The highlighter data page too. So this is what I'm really excited about. I love doing the data stuff. So I'm really excited about this page. And hopefully this will be really useful for a lot of people that are kind of looking at like paint the picture of older adult falls in my community. So we have a list of available data sources. So, and then links out to those websites, so CDC, WIHA data, things like that. And then we have this interactive map too. So if you click on county, so for example, Douglas County, you can see data that is in our falls data by county PDF document, but you can also find it right on the map here. And then you can see where your county compares to other counties. Gray counties, you can see there is some insufficient data, meaning that there wasn't greater than 5 deaths in a county in a year. There are some counties that don't have the data colors on there, but if you click on the county, it still has the data in. And then if you find this helpful, you can also go to our falls data by county document. So this was developed this year, I think it was, and there is helpful information here by county for a couple of different years. Average cost of falls per person with emergency departments and hospitalizations. Age-adjusted rate of fall injury, and then also age-adjusted rate of fall deaths, the percent change. And I just want to make a note here that this last page, the age-adjusted rate of fall deaths, this was just updated. I noticed an error in it. So if you had gotten this from our last updates, this will be sent out again in the WIHA updates that will be sent out next week. So this was recently changed, but the rest of the data remain the same. And if you're ever wondering about if you have the most recent document, always check on the website. That'll be the most recent. And then there's always at the bottom here.
Yeah, Suzanne, I just was going to quickly interject that, you know, we really see this as a great tool for you all to use if you are interested in potentially offering new falls prevention programming in your community, but want to be able to make the case to decision makers that, you know, this is important and needed in the community. We want to be able to help you like put together the data that will help you make the case. So this is a great place to come when you're trying to do something like that. Like, so say you go on to the professionals best practices section, you identify, hey, this seems like something that we could implement, but it's going to cost us, you know, we know it's going to cost either some time capacity for us, but also potentially some resources. How do we make the case with decision makers? So we're wanting to kind of help support that, and the data page is the place to start. But if there are things that you're looking for and are not finding, we'd like to know that, and we may have it. We may be able to help you find it. And it's the kind of thing that we want to be able to curate for sort of all of our program providers in the county, so you have access to good, accurate, meaningful data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our coalition data work group really plans to dig into some more data within the coming years too. So we really want to make it helpful for people. And like Chris said, if you need anything else or have any other needs related to data, we're happy to help with that. I want to highlight a couple more things on the website. So this how to help section for professionals. This is for different organizations to kind of see what they can do. So there's some helpful links here. So for health systems, there's links to the study materials, the CDC study for falls prevention. For community organizations, NATO has a great resource for local health departments. There's links on how to plan a falls prevention event and things like that. So there's lots of links and different tools, best practices for EMS and ADRC referral processes. You can see those here. And then we have information on our Falls Through Wisconsin Coalition. And then this Start a Coalition section is what we are taking from our coalition toolkit that was developed a year or two ago. We're making it more interactive. So this is kind of this section. If you want to start a coalition, you can go to the different pages that your coalition is at, and you can find helpful tools and tricks throughout. So you can go to different key partners, creating a planning group, whatever, or wherever you're at in your community, there's a section to help you start a coalition. And then we'll also have information on our Falls Through Wisconsin Coalition, which we would love for you to join on to if you haven't already. And like Chris was saying, we'll have technical assistance available, and you can also request technical assistance right through our website here. I think that's all I wanted to show on the website. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I see Amanda has a question here. Will you have any collateral pieces available, like handouts with website info that partners can distribute at events? Yes, we are talking about that now. And I think we'll be getting into that a little bit as Suzanne keeps working through the presentation, but we want to talk a little bit about the media plan and strategy and ways that you can sort of help support and drive people here. So the answer is yes.
Yes, definitely. So September will be here before we know it. It's already the middle of June somehow. So we are really working hard on our outreach and promotion strategy right now. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So our goal is really to generate traffic to the website. We know we're not going to change beliefs, attitudes, anything like that right off the bat about falls, but our goal is really to generate traffic to the website so people can see that falls are preventable. Our target audience is older adults, but also family members and caregivers. So a lot of times family members and caregivers talk to their older adults in their lives about their falls risks and their health. So we really want to drive both of those populations to the website. And then we'll be launching in early September. And for our media outreach, we plan to do a heavy outreach in September, but then also again in November. So we'll kind of reevaluate what was done in September, what messages worked well, what platforms worked well. And then we will do that again in November, especially around the holidays when families are getting together. That can kind of start the conversation with them. So we will have resources for you. We have drafted press releases. We have drafted newsletter articles and letters to the editor. We'll have radio PSAs and interview segments, graphics and content for consumer emails, and then also social media graphics and content. So all of that will be available for our partners to drive people to the website and help us promote the center. And then we'll also be going throughout the state on a little media tour. So we're tentatively planning for a kickoff event in Madison on September 7th, but that date may change. It depends on when Tammy Baldwin will be available, since we want her to be at the kickoff event, since she really was helpful in getting us the earmark funding that launched the center. We'll be in Oneida County, Bayfield County, Portage County, Marathon County, Brown County, Milwaukee County, La Crosse County at different events with some of our LEAF grantees that was part of the earmark funding, and helping promote different events that are happening for falls prevention in their communities, but then also promoting the Falls Through Wisconsin Center as well. So we'll be at stepping on workshops, fire department open houses where they're talking about falls prevention. And then there's a few different falls prevention events as well happening throughout the state that will be attending and inviting local media to. Like I said, our launch is early September. We'll have video ads on streaming services like Hulu or Disney Plus. streaming services like Spotify. We'll have some audio ads on. We'll have social ads on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, email ads, search ads through Google. And then, like I said, we'll have a digital handout or press kit for partners, which has lots of information on how you can help us promote the center. And then Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about the Healthy Aging Grants?
Yes, so last we talked, I told you about an initiative that we're working on to help maintain funding for the Falls Free Wisconsin initiative, the center and the coalition. As you know, this initiative is something that was developed through a federal earmark. So we received a 1-year chunk of money that we're going to try to extend to 2 years, plan to extend to 2 years, but we're also looking to the state legislature to support Wisconsin's Falls Free initiative. So what we did initially was worked through something that happened in the governor's budget called the Healthy Aging Grants. This was funding that came to WIHA actually in 2015, but was then stripped from the budget after that. So there's a little history lesson here, like, you know, you might be able to get something in the budget one time, but unless it's part of the base budget, you know, it's always at risk every 2 years of not being part of the budget. And that was the case. So we were working toward these Healthy Aging Grants as the governor had proposed them in his budget. What happened was then the Joint Finance Committee stripped those from the budget. So no more Healthy Aging Grants as far as the Joint Finance Committee was concerned. So we were never going to be able to get those into the base budget after that happened. But we don't like to give up on things like this. So what we have done is we're working with a state senator who's interested in this and are about to, we have in fact the draft of a bill that would again support the Healthy Aging Grants with the focus on falls prevention. So what does that mean? We're anticipating a new a Senate bill to be coming out like any day now. We have a sponsor and we're going to be working to get co-sponsors for that bill. This bill could be funded through what's called a supplemental account from the Joint Finance Committee. So even after the state budget is passed, there are sort of slush funds, a little money left over that isn't allocated into the budget. And because Wisconsin had a $7 billion budget surplus this year, they are interested in looking to fund projects that may be, you know, just a 2-year project and not be part of the base budget. So there's a good opportunity here for us to be able to realize additional funding to support the Falls Free Wisconsin initiative and all of our evidence-based health promotion programs. So we're inches away from having a bill number. It's gone through a couple of different iterations in the drafting process to provide about $750,000 over the biennium to support falls prevention work in Wisconsin. So I'm letting you know this because we will be reaching out to you once that bill number is available to us, letting you know. And as you can see, we have some supporting material, but asking that you contact your local legislators in support of the bill, as this will provide us with additional long-term funding for the Falls Free Wisconsin Center. So that's a lot, I know, to try to explain to you. You'll be getting something in writing from us when the bill number is available, and, you know, instructions on how to contact your local legislators. And I know many of you do that already and have been doing that throughout the budgeting process. So this will be one additional ask of you from us, that you check in with your local legislators and ask that they support the Healthy Aging Grants for falls prevention. So with that, I'm happy to take questions about this, but I know, you know, this you'll need to hear more about this and see something in writing as it comes out. So that's the status of the Healthy Aging Grants.
Awesome, thanks, Chris. So for the Falls Free Wisconsin Center and helping us with our launch, what can you do? So you can make a plan for promoting the Falls for Wisconsin messaging and resources in your local area. So we had sent out a survey a week or so ago that just kind of asked for your input on how you're planning to help us promote the center. And then just kind of make a plan if you'll go on the local radio to talk about it, if you'll schedule some Facebook or Instagram social media posts, send out some press releases. It'd be really helpful for us to do that. And then also join the Falls for Wisconsin Coalition. So to stay up to date on everything that we have going on related to falls prevention in Wisconsin, get more updates on the center and all of the work that's being done with the coalition. We have the policy work group, data, best practices and awareness. There's lots happening with that. So I'll drop the link in the chat and you can sign on your organization if you haven't already to join that coalition to stay up to date with all of the stuff going on.
Great, Suzanne, thanks. Yeah, just checking the chat here. Jennifer, you were wondering who we're working with in Milwaukee County. We've been talking with the Milwaukee County Falls Prevention Coalition. So Susie Breyer and Ann Gallo, and if you're interested in working with us on that, that would be terrific. We'll take any and all support. So let us know. Awesome. Okay, that's great, Jennifer. We'll loop you in because we're not 100, it's a little harder in Milwaukee County than other places just because of the volume of things to cover in that area. So getting media attention can be a little more challenging, but we're all in on that. We're hoping to hit every kind of media hub in the state. And then as others of you have things going on, and when we break into groups, we'll talk about this a little bit. As others of you have events, things going on around Falls Prevention Awareness Month, because I know lots of you, probably most of you, do things in September. If you can let us know about those things. And one of the things we want to do, and Amanda alluded to this, is kind of brainstorm what kind of materials we can produce for you that would be helpful as you have these local events, in addition to the things that we're already producing. So one of the things Amanda mentioned was, some sort of a handout that would have the logo and the Falls Free Wisconsin URL there so that people have a really clear path for reaching us on the website. So we will be putting things like that together, but it's really helpful for us to hear what kinds of things you can use so that we can get those developed. The other thing I should mention is that we haven't been doing this in a vacuum. We've been focus grouping, and we'll be focus grouping the website with consumers to get some feedback on how it navigates for them. And we did some early focus grouping with older adults to kind of understand the messaging. And this is where we came to a different understanding about how we've been talking about people's understanding of their falls risk. We have been saying for years, we've been saying falls are common, but they're not a normal part of aging, with the assumption that everybody agreed with that. But what we found was that many older people did think that falls were a normal part of aging. And so we recognize it's really going to be important for us to kind of, really think hard about how we're messaging this, because it feels to us like step one here is to get people to understand that they can do something about their falls risk. If you believe it's a normal part of aging, you may be less inclined to take steps to reduce your falls risk. So we're really kind of focusing there, and love to hear your feedback when we get into the breakout sessions on how that resonates with you, if that's kind of similar to what you're hearing from people, that they feel that, a fall is sort of an inevitable part of getting older, because we really want to dispel that idea, because we don't think people are going to move in the direction of reducing their risk until they believe they have a means to do it and believe that they can. So anyway, just wanted to add those couple of things and look forward when we get to the more of the end of the session. Talking a little bit more about your thoughts and ideas here. I'm going to share my screen again. So I want to move us forward and talk a little bit about our Age Well initiative. So this is something we've been talking about for a long time too. So this will not maybe be new to some of you, but we have moved this forward. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about, what we're doing, how we're going about it, and again, get some feedback from all of you on ways that we can improve it, kind of give you a sense of what we're learning so far and what kind of reaction we've been having to this initiative. So Age Well is kind of a reaction to what we learned when we did the barrier survey about people's feelings about growing older and what their barriers to participation in programming was. But we also have, in talking with program providers and others, understood that there's this sort of continued changing landscape when it comes to impacting, our ability to provide programs. So I think there was an assumption, who knew, right? When the pandemic happened, like we had no point of reference for that necessarily. Like, what was that going to mean? I remember saying to somebody, Betsy, I think back in the day, this is a while ago now, that, wow, we could actually be not in the office for like 2 or 3 weeks. Amazing. Like, when you really think about what's actually happened in that amount of time and how big the impact of the pandemic has been. But I think there's a general, and I'd be curious to know how other people feel, like understanding like that some things are not going to snap right back to, we don't get to like resume where we ended in 2020, of March of 2020, that there are like continuing implications for that. So we recognize that and I've heard from many of you that there continue to be recruitment issues. So the challenges with demand for programs, it's been harder, and you've had to maybe do different things to be able to recruit people to programs. We know, like from the barrier survey, that lots of consumers are not aware of programs in their community, and that's understandable. Like we know that that's the case. But we also know many are also not motivated programs. Others aren't ready to do in-person programming still, or just may not be interested in virtual programming when that's an option for them. So, those challenges continue. In some cases, the traditional recruitment strategies just aren't yielding the numbers of participants like that they had in the past, for all of those reasons listed above. In addition, we recognize that provider capacity remains an issue. So supply, increasing or changing responsibilities and staff vacancies make offering programs difficult or impossible for some providers. We recognize that remains an issue. So we've said to ourselves, what do we do? How do we help this situation? So we see that we have this role to play in increasing demand, and so what we had not been doing in the past, but we have begun doing now, is directly engaging consumers. So what does that mean? It sort of started for us with a brand new website, and we've gone through this several times. But so you will have now probably become more familiar with a website that was much more consumer focused, to provide information to consumers that was actionable for them. The site that we had in the past was really more provider focused. So it was really more built for the providers to be able to find the resources and tools they needed to be able to put on programs. And it was less about engaging consumers, because we weren't driving consumers to the website at that point. We weren't interfacing with consumers. We were really interfacing with the provider network. So now we recognize that there's this opportunity for us to drive consumers to the website to find information, and that can be a support to the provider network as we drive them to the Find a Workshop button, and they can find your local programs there. So provides information on healthy aging and healthy living, not just our programs, but broader information that relates to the determinants of health and ways they can be healthier. We wanted to offer interactive features to encourage behavior change and action planning, all the kinds of things that are embedded within the programs that we can pull sort of apart to also be outside of the program, you know, the principles of healthy aging that we can also showcase in a way on the website so that they can interact with that, even if they're not taking a program. And at some point coming, I say coming in a lot of different places here, that we hope to be able to simplify workshop registration so that once we do have our provider portal open and ready for all the provider network to be able to come aboard. And again, we've talked about this before, and we're not quite ready to be able to bring folks aboard yet. But we hope to be able to have folks consumers who come to the site be able to find and register for a program right from the site. So what we do now, of course, is when they find a workshop that you all have uploaded as a workshop notification, their registration information is there and they contact you that way. We're hoping that there will be the ability, we just have some tweaking to do here, but there will be the ability for them to be able to register for your workshop from the site. And I think that will streamline the process because it doesn't require them to leave the site and go make a phone call or send an email. They'll be able to do it in real time. So no gap, meaning less chance of them not doing it once they leave the site. And then in addition to the website, we've begun the new direct-to-consumer communication. So we have published our second issue of the Age Well newsletter. This is going to be continuing to go out every other month. We are looking to reinforce the messaging in the Age Well newsletter with social media. So the kinds of content that we place in the newsletter, we want to reinforce with posts on our social media that will drive people back to either to our website or to the newsletter for them to find more information. We're noodling around and see in the future there's some potential for us to be able to do consumer webinars. So provide information virtually in sort of a consumer format. So things that consumers can access that are of interest, that will be of topics of interest that would also align with the kind of information we're sending out in the Age Well newsletter. We're also noodling around the idea of a consumer track at the Healthy Aging Summit. We're still noodling around the Healthy Aging Summit for next year too. More to talk about there. But the idea of having some potential for consumers to have a reason to come to the Healthy Aging Summit or a means of participating virtually for the things that would be applicable and appropriate for consumers to take part in. And then lastly, traditional media outreach. We will be doing, particularly with the Falls Free Wisconsin initiative, be doing both paid and earned media to drive folks to the website and to the Falls Free site. So who's getting these consumer newsletters? We are sending these to past participants of our evidence-based programs. So we have not everybody, certainly people who've taken the program a really long time ago. We were not collecting email addresses on those people. So we don't have lots of email addresses for folks. But the ones we have, we're utilizing. Anyone that program providers share with. So for you all, if you were wanting to forward this newsletter or send it out with a link, we have a link that you can send it out in an email with. We can help you do that. New subscribers, and we have a subscribe button now on the website. There are new subscribers coming to us pretty regularly who are interested in getting the newsletter. Constituents of partner organizations. So again, maybe not program providers, but we're looking to work more closely with partner organizations like AARP Wisconsin, others like that, to be able to move some of our information into some of their publications or have them forward out the link to our newsletter to their consumers. And then the general public, again, through traditional and social media outreach, we want to build our subscriber list that way. So the first issue was launched in April. So there's the March, April issue. The one you're seeing here is the May, June issue. We sent about 12,000 out. We had 3,668 people open that email. It doesn't seem like an enormous number, right? Again, this was a group of people we had never really communicated with before in any kind of real meaningful way. So it was good to see. Actually 30% is pretty good for what might be like them something of a cold call. So 30% of the folks opened the newsletter. We had 419 clicks into the newsletter. So some of the content in the newsletter didn't require clicking. And some of them, like some of the articles, would link you away to click someplace else. So 419 folks did that. And we had a little feedback post in there. So 117 folks, when we asked, is this useful to you? 117 in that first issue said yes, and 11 said no. And so there were a number of people who unsubscribed. Fine, you know, we kind of had that expectation, especially with the first issue. In the second issue, we sent just about 10,000, just a little under 10,000 in that issue, in part because, you know, we saw a decrease in, you know, the numbers of folks who had active email addresses. So of that group, about 3,400 folks, so 35% opened the newsletter, 322 clicked, and then 156 said, yes, this is useful to me. 6 said no. So again, we're kind of going to be in these first few issues going to be kind of looking at, you know, what people find interesting, where they're clicking. That is the beauty of using an email marketing platform like Constant Contact. You can really kind of dig deep into who and what kind of content people are looking at and interested in. 230 people of this group were subscribers. So people who had never taken a program, but who had found us on the website and subscribed. And, you know, curious to know, like, I'm just checking the chat here quick. Curious to know if you have questions. Yes, Jody, do you ever snail mail a copy to a participant? We have not been able to, partially because as you go into the newsletter, you'll see there are a lot of links in there, which makes it really challenging to obviously send as a hard copy. But one thing we are doing is if there are articles that you're interested in, like publishing into your own newsletter, we can get you clean copy for that. So we're thinking about this more deeply because, you know, Jody, you're not the only one who's asked this question. Like, how do we, if we're not able to just send this, you know, virtually, put it into an email, or how do we get this information into the hands of people? So we're thinking about that a little more deeply. But step one is for us to be able to send you the content as a Word document or email, or paste it into an email that you can then use in your own local publications. That's kind of how we're doing it at this point until we find a better way.
Would you ever think about like condensing it into like, you know, just like a smaller version of what you're doing? Do you know what I mean? And then having it be a hard copy, like maybe not have all the links, because up here in northern Wisconsin, there, not a lot of, you know, I mean, we don't have the greatest internet connection, and a lot of older adults don't even go on their computer, they don't have cell phones, and snail mail is great because they actually do open it and actually do read it.
Yeah, right. Do you guys have a newsletter up there, Jody? Do you put out a newsletter?
We do not, but I've been in contact with our ADRC here, and we might like share one. And so, I mean, that would be really awesome. So then clearly we could, like you had just said, we could put some of these articles in there, which would be very helpful too. And then I could hand it out to the people here and whatever, you know, so.
Yeah. Like we'll think about it. We've talked about what are the best ways to do it. It's a lot harder to create a whole separate version of this, but, you know, so it would kind of depend on, coming to kind of a critical mass of how many people would utilize it that way. And what else we would, how we would do it, what would it look like? How would we get it together? And, what kind of extra time does it take to put together a separate version? That's kind of the calculation. But again, certainly if you're moving in the direction of doing a joint newsletter with the ADRC, this would be great content for that. And we can clean it up for you so that it would match up to what they're looking for in terms of articles and length and things.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. No, I'm
second
sensitive to
that
that.
too.
I know this is not one size fits all for everyone. So we want to make it as flexible as we can. Heidi says the same thing, bad internet. So yeah, we understand, like we'll see what we can do. Heidi, do you have a newsletter? I don't know why I think you do.
I do not. Our ADRC just started a newsletter that's in our local market messenger. I do put articles that they print very kindly for free in our market messenger as well. So I can use that for that. We can print it off and send it out with our home delivered meals, as well as have it available at the congregate news or meal sites too.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll keep talking about that. Just curious to know like how this is working for. We want this to be flexible, obviously. So again, lastly, how does this support you? We're really thinking about these newsletters being something that raises awareness amongst consumers in communities all over the state. So the more people we can reach with this, the better chances of us getting people interested in not just the issues around healthy aging, but also the programs that can support them. But we recognize it's going to take a bit of time to get people to think a little bit differently about growing older. And that's really the impetus for this. So again, we're out there working to raise awareness and be a source of health information with the Wisconsin focus. Again, that's what makes us a little bit different from some of the other content that they might see, that we're really trying to focus this on people in Wisconsin with resources and programs that they can access in Wisconsin. And provide again local and virtual options for them to participate. And then coming again, hopefully this will help you in terms of easier registration, getting people really at the point of interest when they're on the site looking at a possible program to be able to register right then, versus having to stop, maybe make a phone call or send an email to someone about registration. So that's not today, but that's something that we see coming down the road, and we think that's going to really make a difference in terms of people helping you all with recruitment and registration for programs.
Chris, can I add something real quick?
Yeah, Jill, thanks.
Yeah, just another thought on that. So the other portion too, if you remember the survey that we did last summer, and Aaron had presented on that, those results and what really was the impetus for this. We remember that there's a good chunk of people who had attended an evidence-based workshop in your communities, but also said that they were not aware of current workshops. So that's another thing that we're hoping to support you all on, is to continue to keep people engaged once they do take a workshop, because we know that word of mouth is extremely important in getting other attendees to your workshops. So if we can find another way, another secondary goal of this is to keep people engaged once they do take a workshop. And I know you all are working on that as well. So if we can all do it collectively together, hopefully that will help, not only engage new people, but keep healthy aging just a priority in their life so that they can help spread the word to others as well.
Yeah, great point, Jill. Thanks. Thanks for adding that. Okay. I am gonna ask staff, this is WIHA program updates now, and I know Amy Ryan had something she wanted to talk with y'all about. So I'll turn it to Amy.
Thanks, Chris. I just have a couple of updates. First of all, I just want to thank everybody who
has had or participated in the bonus challenge for the Healthy Living with Diabetes 7th session bonus challenge. And I just want to congratulate Laura Armstrong at Pro Health. They were the winner of the free facilitator training. So very excited about that. And then there's some changes with some of the chronic condition workshops like diabetes, living well, healthy living with chronic conditions, and then the Spanish versions. To maintain the fidelity of these programs, we're going to be asking that our facilitators complete a self-assessment form after each of their workshops. And those are going to be located, it's located on our website under planning your workshop tab. And there's actually two different forms. You can kind of print out the form to begin with and kind of fill it out, and then you can go online and submit it. And we're asking that all facilitators at all of the chronic condition workshops fill those out. So if you can pass that on to your facilitators, that would be great. And if you have any questions about that, just feel free to reach out to me. And then just a couple other reminders. We have some facilitator trainings coming up this summer. It's not too late to register for. We have a Healthy Living with Chronic Pain facilitator training. We have Tamando, Vivier. I think PALS got moved to the fall. And Suzanne, I don't think there's a stepping on one.
September virtually.
September and virtually. So please check out the website. We would love to have folks register early for those facilitator trainings. And I think I just saw something in the chat about self-assessment.
Yeah, Jennifer was wondering if it's a certain period of time or if this is, I'm guessing, asking if it's a permanent thing.
Jennifer, it's a permanent thing. And we're going to kind of trial this version of the self-assessment for the next 6 months. And then we will probably, if need be, we may update it, but this is long-term.
Yeah,
Can
this
you
kind of
clarify? Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to add to that too. Just being I was at a national conference this last week and talking with Kate Lorig, the developer of these programs. And really this is a reflection of a new fidelity focus that all program administrators have nationwide. And they used to have the requirement where all facilitators needed to have a fidelity coaching session. Then they kind of went away from that for a little while. And now they're back to it. So this is a reflection of a national requirement that we now have as a license holder to maintain and to monitor fidelity. So we, Amy and I talked for, I think it was about 2 months, trying to figure out how do we do this in the most efficient way possible, and that doesn't put too much burden on you all as program providers and facilitators. So instead of doing actual physical fidelity checks, on all of the chronic disease programs, we're just going to pilot this to see if this works. So hopefully it does. And I know it's a little extra something on your plate, but it should be just a little quick little, I think it's a 1 or 2 page form. It should be pretty full. Is it 1? Awesome. Yes. It should be pretty quick. And so hopefully this will suffice and meet those fidelity requirements. And then we'll reevaluate after a while. So yeah.
And
Jennifer
Amy,
was asking though, does it need to be printed or can it just be submitted online?
So I'm going to answer that. It can either way. You can either submit it online or you can mail it into the WIHA office.
Erin, were you saying something too?
yeah, can you just clarify how often this needs to be done for facilitators?
It needs to be done at least once a year. So I think just for this next 6 months, we're going to just pilot, like Jill said, we're going to pilot this. So any of the chronic condition workshops that your facilitators are hosting, we're going to ask that they fill that out. And Lisa, we're having a CDE education coming up. How do I let WIHA? Oh, you did a bonus session. We can talk about that, Lisa. I will give you a call and we can talk a little bit more about that. Any other questions about the self-assessment? Okay, so just a couple other quick reminders. Lots of virtual workshops going on throughout the state. So if you have someone in your community that wants to participate in a workshop and maybe you don't have a workshop coming up, please double check our Find a Workshop site or part of the website. And maybe you can make that connection and they can take a virtual workshop. And last but not least, I'm going to become a broken record on this. We're just asking that you return your data 2 weeks after the last day of your workshops. That is so important to us to collect that data for our license holders and for our information. So if you can get those data packets sent back to the office or emailed, whichever way it is, we would really appreciate it. So those are my updates.
Great, thanks, Amy. Anybody else on staff have updates? I thought there was maybe one more.
Yeah, I just wanted to share stepping on. I'm going to share my screen. Let me turn my video off first so it works. Okay. So there is some updates made to the stepping on page for facilitators on the website. So if you go to for professionals, program resources, facilitators, and then click on stepping on, there's just some updates made here. So before it was, there was a tab for workshop materials, led to a different page, and then in-person workshop materials were there and virtual workshop materials were there. Now it's all on just this one page. So you'll find all the resources that you need just on this one page. There's resources under planning and resources for virtual workshops under planning. So if you're in the planning stage, check there. If you're in the promoting stage, that's all the same. And you'll see separated here in-person workshops, materials, and then virtual workshop materials. So just take a look, familiarize yourself with that. And then also pulled out was this toolkit for sensory impaired. Previously, that was just under in-person, but now it's right here on just this landing page. So you can see if you have any vision and hearing impairments in your workshop, you can check that out. And then just wanted to highlight too, so last month we had put out some technical assistance for stepping on. So just a reminder that that's available under the planning section on the website. And there is the technical assistance for facilitator recruitment and retention, just for engaging guest experts and funding your stepping on program. And there's also a couple of videos. So there's 1 or 2 page guides, but then also like 5 to 10 minute videos on some of those topics. So check that out.
So planning and promoting are for both virtual and in-person classes. And then the materials for during the workshop are in those separate columns or separate tabs. And then I'll just use this. If you have not already registered for the website as a facilitator or program provider, remember that you do need to register with your own unique username and password. And please allow up to 48 hours for that to be approved. So don't wait till the day before your workshop to do that. Make sure that you're leaving some time to get approved for getting on to those pages.
Okay, great. Anyone else on staff or does anyone have like program related questions you want to raise now? If not, we'll break into some groups to have a conversation. We have a few questions we'd like to pose to you. So I'll let Erin put us into groups.
All right, I'm going to open the rooms now.
Hey, everybody. Are we all back? All back or coming back?
I think so.
Looks like most people. Awesome.
Thanks.
Great.
Kristen
Well,
put her name in the chat for me, just so that everybody knows.
oh, okay.
I'm
Great.
taking
Yeah,
that.
sorry, we got cut off right as I was trying to type it in and it took me out, so it took me a little bit to get
Thank you.
Yeah, even with 60 seconds of advance warning, I know sometimes it like feels very abrupt when you leave.
Wait.
Well, again, I thought, I appreciate y'all taking some time to chat with us. I was just saying in my group, like, boy, do I appreciate conversations now, like having time to just talk about different things, and get people's perspectives and kind of a feel for where things are with you in your local programs, and, understand, again, even more deeply, like the challenges and capacity issues that people have. And we, are so, supportive and want to, see what we can do to help maintain, both our relationships with you all, but also help support, the programming that you're trying to do. So got some great ideas from my group about, obviously I had a big long list and we got to about 2 things, but really about the kinds of things people are planning around Falls Prevention Awareness Month, and some tools and resources that we can provide that weren't on the list. So we'll be going back to address that. Also some great ideas for topics for articles for the Age Well newsletter. So, things like loneliness and social isolation and like the impact our programs can have on that. So maybe thinking about how we message and promote programs a little bit, adding in the idea that there's relationships to be made and people to meet when you take these programs. So really appreciate that. Did just check in with others. Anything you want to raise as part of your conversations?
Oh, Patricia.
Yes, well, I was talking to Amy and Laura and all those ladies, beautiful ladies. Thank you so much. But it came up to right now, like tomando control de su salud is so wonderful. Yes, it's wonderful for our clients, but really, why don't we? I was telling her about doing the everything in Spanish, but then something else came up to me. Why not? Since Laura was talking about nutritionists and how she's adding it to her community, is there any way for us to add something besides tomando control, like kind of step more, having a nutritionist to take care of our clients after tomando control, because the class that I gave, it was wonderful. I keep on checking on them and they are getting better. But one thing that I've seen that they are struggling on is how to take care of their food, go a little bit more on that, having a nutritionist or a nutritionist class actually after the tomando control, a series of classes, like another six classes, but with a nutritionist or teaching us how to do that, and get the certification and be able to continue what we started,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, just an idea. Hopefully you guys can do something or just recommend me a nutritionist right now that's Spanish, because it's so hard for me to find those collaborator that is going to be helping me with, but a bilingual collaborator is really hard for me to find.
Yeah, I would say there's a couple of contacts maybe that Amy can point you to, that we can hopefully will be a good start for you with that. I think is a great idea. Patricia, for everybody who doesn't know, she's like our superstar tomando control de su salud program provider. There's a lot of other great ones too, but yeah, you always do great work. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Well, and thanks for identifying that as a gap, that once people finish the program, that what they could really use is some more additional nutrition support. So we can surely talk about that at WIHA.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right, we're a minute over and I don't want to, I know people have things to jump to. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks for the great conversation. We'll see you next time.
Thank you,
Great work
everyone.
going on everywhere. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.